Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday, February 24th. Thank you for tuning into Kiwanis Connects. We greatly appreciate it. My name is Aaron Phillips. I am hunkering down and taking direction from Governor Val here in Las Vegas while she's dealing with sleet and rain and all sorts of goodies while we're freezing our tuchuses off here in Las Vegas. Thank you for tuning in. By the way, if you're watching us on Facebook, in the chat room, lower left-hand corner, you'll see a little arrow. It used to say share, but you see a little bold arrow. Hit that button. You can reshare the feed to your page, groups, individual people. We would greatly appreciate it. Of course, as always, we have you on YouTube. We have you on the app. And if you would like to call in, we encourage anybody to do this, just ask a question or comment, please dial 702-992-3207. That's 702-992-3207. We would appreciate your feedback. With that, it is good to be back with my dear friend, Governor Val. I was out last week due to a prior commitment, but it's good to be back. Governor Val, how are you, my friend?
Aloha. I am doing great. I have two of my closest friends here today. And, so that means I have, five. But I am so happy to see your face. Last week without you, when we were talking about 2 for 2, I forgot all about talking about Taco Tuesday. Talk about Tuesday.
2 for 2 Taco Tuesday was forgotten about?
I know. And you patented it just for that.
I am devastated. It's funny, when I saw the promo, I was actually thinking about that line. I was going to send you a reminder in Facebook, and I just didn't get around to it. So I apologize, but that's all right. It'll come back around again. Every Tuesday is an opportunity for 2 for 2 Taco Tuesday.
Talk about it.
Right? John is in. He's already there. He'll buy the first taco on Tuesday. So he's already there. So how has your week been since I last saw you 2 weeks ago, aside from all of our talking and chats and stuff? How are you doing the last couple of weeks? What's going on?
I'm looking outside my window and I see hail and rain. And so I'll have to share with you, this is not where the property that I bought. And people are saying this is the very first time that these are happening. I think they're making stuff up.
Very first time. Oy.
But, over the past couple of weeks, I've been doing a lot of traveling because we're getting ready for our mid-year South, which is going to be on March 18th. And also, we're starting to ramp up for our district convention in August. So spend a little bit of time in Reno getting things set up. And that's going to be the best econ anybody's ever attended. And that's because everybody is so geared in. But this week has been kind of emotional for me. And so I am so glad that we have Ed and Dan with us today, because I'd like to have a mini moment of silence. I know you don't really do that on TV or podcasts, but do you realize that it is the 1-year anniversary of the Ukraine war?
Yes. 1 year already. No. Wow. I did not realize it.
1 year today for the invasion. And in our district alone, we've raised over $2 million in support of Ukrainians. We've sent money through a number of different avenues, including Kiwanis International and clubs in the European Federation of Kiwanis. And it makes me realize how much the statement, freedom isn't free, and that how many people pay for us to have that privilege. And so that's why I really said, this week when I think about, I have my dad's uniform behind me. I have a picture that I will never give away, and I use that with capital letters for my friend Ed. So talking about patriotism and service, because patriotism is one of our main objects of Kiwanis. So can we get right to it?
Well, I'll tell you what, before we do that, John, instead of, can we put up a visual over the screen rather than people just looking at us for 30 seconds, not talking? Because I could just see people out there scrambling to play with their volumes thinking something's wrong. So if John, would you be able to pull something up pretty quickly?
Yeah.
I'm going to vamp a little bit while he does that. So we'll put a little visual up there, and then we will certainly honor not only the veterans we have on the screen with us. Of course, John is also a veteran of the Marines as well. And so we want to thank. And you talked about those on the front lines who obviously gave the ultimate price, but we also can't forget the folks that were behind at home by those fighting men and women. They were just as important to our freedom and support of their loved ones while they literally protected us in every way that you can think of. So a huge thank you to the family and supporters and everybody around those past, current, and future military personnel. John, have I stalled long enough? Okay, all right. So ladies and gentlemen, do not adjust your volume. We're going to observe a 30-second moment of silence. Okay, we are back, and thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for indulging us. And wherever you went for 30 seconds to think of somebody or think about yourself, where you are today, whatever it is, as long as you had a moment of opportunity there for 30 seconds to just kind of clear your head. And again, in honor of President's Day, which is one of the reasons why we're kind of adding this conversation in. So again, thank everybody for indulging us. 702-992-3207. While you're watching in the chat room on Facebook or on YouTube, if there is a family member, current, past, current, future, that maybe you'd like to honor their okay. Please note the border. I don't know if you see it there, Val. John just pointed out on the monitor, the border around the four of us is of the Ukraine colors. So thank you, John. But yeah, put names in the chat room. We would love to mention those individuals. So please feel free to do that as well. Okay. So you've set the table a little bit with our guests. So Val, why don't you, if you'd like to quote unquote formally introduce our guests and let the world know who we have with us today.
So I had the opportunity to invite our patriotism chair, and for some districts, they don't have someone like Dan Lane, who is looking out for one of our main objects of Kiwanis. And so Dan is here to talk about patriotism, and especially in CNH, and some of the major things that he's been working on with his team. And then we have Ed, I always butcher your last name, Ed Pesnello. Ed and I have connected over almost a decade, and all the work that Ed does for 9/11 remembrances and patriotism that happens, I would say, throughout the world, Ed. And I just thought, I need to bring him. And I also have a piece of his artwork right behind me. And so let's get to it. So both of you are veterans, and thank you so much for your service. Absolutely phenomenal.
Thank you.
Thank you. And so, Dan, what the heck is a patriotism chair?
Now you ask them.
That's the
I just went right to
question.
it. I just went right to it.
Basically, the district supports our efforts to honor and recognize those who serve us. And it not only means the family or the military personnel, but their families and the communities. So Patriotism Chair, the purpose is to direct our efforts in recognizing those in our community who have served us, are serving us, or who directly support those who serve us. And so we have a patriotism banner patch, which is an award every club is eligible to earn that recognizes their efforts to support those in the military, those who have served, and those who support the military.
And so I know this is really near and dear to your heart. And so when you were asked to do this for the very first time, what were you thinking about this?
Well, to be very honest, I stumbled into this position after being a lieutenant governor, and The governor at the time recognized my military service and the fact that I constantly talk about it. And I came into a position that was really kind of blank slate. There were no defined protocols, there were no defined activities, there was really no defined purpose for the Patriot Committee other than the district website having a single entry for the patriotism banner patch application. And so immediately I began looking at how effective that program was and quickly determined that with more than 400 clubs on average for the last 5 years, we've had fewer than 2% respond or
Wow.
acquire the patriotism banner patch. So the very first goal I set for myself was, why is this program so unknown? And what can we do to make it more well known and certainly more effective?
You know, I was thinking about it. It's like half of my club when I first joined were all veterans, and it's like my marina club is right by a military base that has now been recommissioned. So the old Fort Ord, and so I know a lot of people out there know Fort Ord because that's where they did their basic training, and it was the largest military base for the mounted cavalry. So what are the it's like, Aaron, I'm going to ask you to help me out because I'm speechless that only a handful of clubs
Yeah.
actually get involved.
I was thinking about that during listening to Dan speaking. Going back to 9/11, of course, born and raised 10 minutes outside of New York City, and seeing the monuments go down as I was here in Vegas. This country saw a new normal defined that day on a whole different level and for many levels. And I think our country felt a huge jolt of patriotism for 1-2 years, maybe. And then after that, everybody was just kind of back to normal and, backbiting and fighting with everybody. And patriotism, yes, it's great that September 11th, we remember the fallen for that event. And that one day, the patriotism seems to come back. I just think for some reason, patriotism for a lot of clubs, a lot of people, maybe it's just kind of fallen out of their everyday eyesight, out of sight, out of mind kind of thing, unless an event like 9/11 or July 4th or things like that tend to happen. I think it's just kind of out of everybody's wheelhouse until something kind of knocks them in the head and reminds them that, hey, folks, we should be proud of July 4th, 1776, when we became a country through today. And we shouldn't need a devastating incident for us to remember the red, white, and blue, the folks who protect us, et cetera. And I think it's a shame that we lose sight of that individually and as organizations. I know we're talking about Kiwanis, obviously, but I would not be surprised if the other service clubs, the Rotaries, Lions, and any other group out there isn't seeing the same thing about how we take patriotism for granted and we tend to forget about it today as often as we did years back. So I love the idea of having the patriotism programs, and I think individuals will get a lot out of it as well as the clubs doing it. I don't know if you saw Leanne's comment pop up there in the chat room, but I'd like to share because here is a club that is doing something for patriotism. Shasta Dam Club co-sponsors the community 9/11 ceremony. They have a piece of the tower in a monument at the fire hall in town. So,
Which
here's
is absolutely beautiful.
Go ahead.
Absolutely beautiful. And that's Ed's wheelhouse. And so, Ed, can you tell us a little bit about what you do? Because I think that all the clubs can use some of what you do, some of that energy.
Well, thank you. Yes, one of the things that I do is to make sure that our heroes who gave their life are never forgotten. And what's happened with my theme of honoring our heroes by creating this memorial picture that we'll talk about later on is drawing a lot of interest. And I've created some connection with Tunnels to Towers Foundation. And, you know, I'm just glad to be able to share that and promote what we are doing to keep the memories alive of our fallen heroes and stuff. And, you know, it is great that Shasta was able to receive this. And not only that, we have another community out here, Menifee, the city of Menifee. Last year, they did a memoriam for 9/11. And a good friend of mine from Tunnels to Towers came down for it specifically for that. And they were awarded from Tunnels to Towers a tower built from the metal structures of the Twin Towers as well also, you know, and that is, you know, amazing. And we just need to keep the memories alive however we can. And because this country is not a free country. There was a lot of blood that was lost for this country, for us to live in. And unfortunately, this generation and the generation before don't see that.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. John, can you bring up the comment there from John Crawford, if you don't mind? So
Thank
that
you.
this way I stop looking down at my phone and people think I'm not listening. I am. I'm just doing business and watching chat rooms. And I think John makes a great point here. How can we reinforce a sense of patriotism in our students today? He has had Key Club and Builders Club members who don't even know any patriotic songs. I think that's a great point. You know, where I work at the school here in Las Vegas, of course, we do the Pledge of Allegiance. They don't even sing the Star Spangled Banner anymore. They don't sing My Country 'Tis of Thee anymore, which we used to do. I think that's a valid point. And I think with anything regarding education, the earlier that we can get to our younger generations and educate them on patriotism in whatever facet that may mean, I think that's a great point to get good programs into the school system for those that aren't already doing something.
And you know, Dan, I think, Dan, you've got a couple of examples of some of the things that people can do that honor our heroes and honor patriotism and actually can earn them a banner patch, right?
That's correct. In fact, we rewrote the protocols and we're getting ready to introduce them to the district for a new criteria for the patriotism banner patch. But one of the things that I want to just share with you is patriotism is not defined by that single heroic act or day. We are surrounded by patriots right now who serve us in time of peace as much as we have been served in time of war. And so one of the things that I do with the clubs that I meet with is I open a meeting with 2 trivia questions relating to the history of the military. And I have small awards, usually a $5 gift card and an American flag that they can display. And it's a wonderful way to introduce those who don't know much about American patriotism into what the history of our military for our country is. I like to share the Gold Star Family Award and let people know that when a patriot serves and a patriot dies, his family is left to carry the burden of his life that's unfulfilled. And so we honor them with gold stars. And many young people today don't know what a gold star is or how it's displayed. So that's one of the things that we look at. But in addition to 4th of July, there are, under the new protocol, several holidays that we encourage clubs to start school programs for recognition. And they include Patriots Day, the 3rd Monday in April, Flag Day in June, Independence Day on July 4th, Constitution Day and Citizenship Day on September 17th, Veterans Day and Armistice Day on November 11th, and Pearl Harbor Day on December 7th. In addition, December 15th is the Bill of Rights Day. And what better time to introduce patriotism into a school community than to talk about the Bill of Rights and how the blood of our patriot forefathers helped create this constitutional guarantee for our freedoms.
Val, I'd like to stop there for one moment. If I'd like to take our first break. I love the sentiment there. When we come back, we have more information from Ed. We have a beautiful PowerPoint presentation that we're going to present some information from. And then I want to dive deeper into Ed's biggest supporter, and that is his 13-year-old black lab, Cole. I find that very intriguing. Anyway, you're watching Kiwanis Connects. Leanne, I see your comment. I'll share that with everybody when we come back. You're watching, again, Kiwanis Connects. More to come. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. International is a global community of clubs, members, and partners dedicated to improving the lives of children one community at a time. Today, we stand with more than 550,000 members, from K-Kids to Key Club to Kiwanis, for all ages in over 80 countries around the world. Each community has different needs, and Kiwanis empowers members to pursue creative ways to serve the needs of children, such as fighting hunger, improving literacy, and offering guidance. Kiwanis clubs host nearly 150,000 service projects each year. For more information, visit www.kiwanis.org. All right, welcome back. A couple of comments that I promised to share. I asked for those who want to have us mention and honor them during today's show. Leanne Westfall says her stepdad, Hal Farrell, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, was a survivor of the chosen few in the Korean War, 2 Purple Hearts. Delia Guzman says her grandfather, Antonio Beltran, was a World War II veteran. He fought in the Battle of the Bulge. So we thank you for sharing those names as we honor them here as well. Okay. So, Val, I'm going to ask you to take it away. I know Ed has a PowerPoint that he sent us. I don't know if you wanted to go there or any other questions before that.
Well, Ed, why don't we just dive into it? And so
Sounds good.
Just highlight the pieces that you want to highlight.
Okay, we can go. Thank you very much for, I'm excited. So 22 years ago, the most horrific attack on our great nation will never be forgotten. And most of us know what that is. Honoring USA Heroes, we'll never forget. What is Honoring USA Heroes about? So what we do is, my mission is to ensure that our heroes, firefighters, law enforcement, military, who gave their life, their blood for our country, are never forgotten. I mentioned that earlier. Yes, it's their blood. Unfortunately, they are so. How do we keep the memories alive? We have to keep our heroes involved with the living. And how do we do that? Well, I'm going to describe to you what we do that. We are through our foundation and sponsors and fundraising that I do at the wineries here in Temecula. I'm able to create these memorial pictures. And these memorial pictures that you see here, they come through life through Bluetooth, so that the sound will come out of there, music, recordings of our heroes, and so forth. And these are the clubs, the Kiwanis Club, that helped me supported these heroes of 9/11. And that was my main mission 2 years ago, was honoring the heroes of 9/11, finding clubs that would love to create these memorial pictures of our 470 heroes family that gave their life on 9/11. And you can see here, we have Rotary clubs in the local area. Temecula has been a very big supporter of me. Rancho Santa Fe was a big supporter. And I'm reaching out to more as we go along. Going back to how do we keep the memories alive? We play music on this. And most of us go through life moving on from the loss of our loved ones. All right. And when we move on from the loss of our loved ones, it gets easier in the heart and in the mind. And so what we do is we start moving on. We have parties, we have new friends coming over, and we're eating when we're drinking and we're playing music. Why not play the music from these picture speakers so that when someone has said, I've had a few drinks and I can't find that speaker where that music is coming from. And now the family can say, see that picture on the wall of my father, my brother, my son, my wife, my daughter who died for our country. He is playing it for us. And most people, this generation, are going to go, oh my God, that is sick. That is dope. Music is coming from there. They walk up to the picture and they feel the vibration. The jaws drop some more. And they go, oh my God, it is a speaker. And what they're going to ask next is, what happened to him or her. And the story now is being told. And when you tell that story, people have goosebumps. They might even start tearing. But what happens is 2 years down the road, that same person that was talking to that host will hear a music come on the radio and have his best friend or someone in the car with them and says, "Oh my God, I heard that. I remember this story when I hear this song. I remember the story that this woman told me, or this husband told me, or the brother told me of their loved ones that gave his life for our country." And he tells the story over to somebody else. So that's how we keep the memories going. If nobody asks, as life moves on, they are forgotten. And that is the honest truth of what happens how we forget the loss of our loved ones. This is what I'm helping. Help the family of a fallen hero keep their memories alive as the family moves on with life. Honor the family with the most beautiful gift. I'm asking for the Kiwanians to help me with this. Can we go back to a couple of pictures, please? Okay, there you go. Since November 2020 to this date, I've been concentrating on our local heroes, just Southern California alone. And this is the heroes that have given their life. I do some fundraising, but I don't do enough. So I have to, find ways to raise the money to get these pictures created. My goal is to get these pictures created so that they will be there on their Memorial Day. When you see available Riverside, that means that I'm looking for someone to give this to the family, to make a presentation to the family or to the police department, the sheriff's department, and stuff. Under what says USA, honoring USA hero, I can't pronounce that. I made a presentation to them. I'm finding out that I can't go to all these places and make presentations. And so I reach out to different Kiwanis clubs in the area, like Hermosa Beach, Kiwanis Club of Barstow, Kiwanis Club of Temecula. Go ahead, next slide, please. And they're making the presentation for me. And they're getting the recognition, the honor, and that, this is a beautiful present or gift to the family, and let them know that the family, they're being thought of by this local organization. Next slide, please. And anyway, there, as you can see here, this is just in 2 years, just locally here in Southern California, this is happening. I'm creating these memorial pictures. The latest one is the city of Marietta, far right, Deputy Sheriff Calhoun, who was killed a month ago. Alongside, a week before that, was Isaiah Cordero, another sheriff. And I would love to get these pictures out to the family, the department before the funeral or the memorial. And it makes it a lot easier than afterwards. And we did a presentation I did this presentation for the city of Marietta on his memorial, Deputy Sheriff Calhoun.
Ed, if I can just jump in here with a quick question as we advance the slides here. Obviously, you've mentioned a couple of times about financial support that's needed, et cetera. How can people do that? Website? I'm sure it's probably
yes. They can go to my website, honoringusaheroes.org, and they can make a donation, a one-time donation. They can make a donation to honor a hero, all right? Or they can just make a regular monthly donation. And let me talk about that monthly donation. As you can see, my mission is to honor our fallen heroes from 9/11 and on, and their local heroes. Every city that I know of in California has a Kiwanis Club or a Rotary Club, just about. And if a hero goes down in your community, if you donated $10 a month, your club donates $10 a month. If a hero goes down in your community, I will reach out to you and create this memorial picture so that you can present it on their Memorial Day and let them know that your club is in support of the department, the police department, the fire department, or even the local military base on there. No questions asked. If you've been involved in supporting me supporting Honoring USA Hero by donating $10 a month. You will be the first one to be contacted in your area so that you can make this presentation, and we'll have that picture created for you within a week so that you can present it to them. That's what I would like to see happening, and so that I can have these pictures made and have these family play their music. One of the families in New York says, Ed, this is such a beautiful gift. Everybody comes over now just to listen to my father's music that he loved, playing Grateful Dead, because that's what he loved when he was alive, and played those music. And that's what we want to do, and bring back the happy memories, not the sad ones, because the sad ones are the time when we lost them. And the ceremonial procession, the memorial. That is what most people remember of their loved ones. Let's get them over that and let them bring them back the happy memories of life.
And Ed, we have a lot of people that listen to us on podcasts as they're driving. And so for some of them, they're probably wondering, what does this really look like? And so can you describe a little bit for them? And I'll actually do it. When you're looking at this and you're looking from the podcast, what you're seeing is the American flag that is antiqued, and it's the shield or the rank of the person, and it is an actual picture of them with their name. And what I've discovered, every time we do anything that is honoring those heroes that have passed, is just saying people's names and making sure that the names are recognized, I think is so important. But I don't want to be too sad. So I'm going to move away from your PowerPoint for a little bit, because I know that Aaron and I have been talking about this a lot. Your number one fundraiser, you know who I'm talking about. Your number one fundraiser is Cole. Can you tell people who Cole is?
Yes, Cole is my black lab. He's 13 years old now. He was my service dog, and one thing that he loved to do was carry things for me. And one of the things that he loved to do was always find things for me. And that was my anxiety when I lost something or can't find it. I get a little uptight about it. And I ask Cole, go find my shoes, my wallet, my watch, go pick up that for me. And he would. And, and one of the things when I joined Kiwanis was back in 2017, November, and my club said, hey, we're going to be doing the bell ringing for the Salvation Army. And they asked if I would like to volunteer. And I said, sure. Being a new member, I wanted to volunteer for everything. And I said, oh, can I bring my dog? And they said, they kind of looked at each other and said, sure. What is the dog going to do? And so I showed up with Cole that morning. He's wearing a special sweater, a cap. He always wears ball caps, and he had a cap with a reindeer on there. And he was carrying a little stocking which says, please give to the Salvation Army. And oh my God, we were there not the minute he sat down, and people noticed him, and they started putting money in his stocking. And next thing you know, I think we nearly filled that bucket. And the next meeting, the guys told me, Ed, we'd love to approve your membership, but can you bring your dog in? And I said, sure. And I said, you got to make him a member so that he can participate in all the activities you guys do. And so they made him an honorary member of Kiwanis. And ever since then, he's been an honorary member. And we have 2 dogs now in the club, and they're just, we're killing it on Salvation Army Day. And we're having the bucket filled to the point where people says, I can't put any money in there anymore.
Well, suffice it to say that cuteness sells all the time. So I could see why the success would be there. John, can you bring up George Lang's comment there that came in through YouTube? Thank you, George, for watching us on the YouTube channel here. This kind of goes back to the earlier conversation with Dan and whatnot that we were having about educating folks about some of the patriotism. Kiwanians can be great advocates for the teaching of patriotic songs in elementary school programs, elementary music programs, sorry. Also to press for community service requirements for graduation, attend school board meetings, etc. So again, that's another way to get into the youth, key clubs, etc., into the schools. Dan, what about something like that to educate early on the patriotism and what it means?
Absolutely. In fact, there are a number of music programs that are available for preschool children.
Wow.
And there's no reason that we couldn't introduce a patriotic song to a 4-year-old and have them share that with their family. I would guarantee when you see a 4-year-old excitedly singing a patriotic song, their family are going to want to know, why is this happening? And then once we have that door open, it opens so many other doors for us to make the community aware. That's one of the things that has happened is we fail to recognize we are a resource rich area in military heritage. California, Nevada, and Hawaii lead the nation, if not the world, in the number of military installations and personnel who have served in our communities. And yet we're losing touch with them.
Yes.
We're losing touch with the National Guard units. We're losing touch with the active duty bases that are in our areas. And so why not take a young group of children or a group of young children and introduce them to a National Guard unit?
That's a great comment, because here in Vegas, of course, you have Nellis Air Force Base. You talk about National Guard, and correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't the Coast Guard part of military services?
Absolutely, they are.
So that's another one that I don't think people realize their involvement as military personnel as well, along the lines of National Guard. And the only reason I keep tabs of the Coast Guard is because I watch NCIS a lot. I mean, that's, so.
Absolutely.
But I wanted to mention that branch as well. I want to read Herman's comment in there as we're honoring those as I asked for. Herman Platsky writes, his stepfather, Keith Shoemaker, or Schumacher, depending upon how it's pronounced properly, served in the Army Air Corps in China and the Pacific on Okinawa, preparing for the invasion of Japan before World War II ended. So thank you, Herman, for sharing that for your stepfather. So there's a lot of room for improvement. And I guess between the both of you, real quickly, Ed, honoraryusheroes.org. Do I have that right?
It's Honoring USA.
Oh, honoring.
Heroes.
Okay. We'll get that up on the crawl below us so that people can have that as well. And I think there has to be a way. What's the best way? And I'm going to ask all three of you. This is a question for you as the panel now. We have all this great information. We have dates on the calendar. We have reasons to be celebrating patriotism. And I know there's not one surefire answer. But what's the best way to communicate besides this platform? And quite frankly, we need to share this link out, talking about patriotism and honoring these programs and getting patriotism back into school. What is your suggestions of getting clubs more involved moving forward from today? I know the past has been a problem, but we're bringing this out today now. What can we do moving forward, and how can we impact patriotism and honoring? For me, what I do, if I see somebody with a veteran's hat from any branch of the military, I always wink, say thank you, shake their hand. I buy drinks if they're sitting at the bar to honor them. That's what I do. It's like the old saying, someone's in a stress mode, they're depressed, a simple little smile, you never know what it does for somebody. Well, somebody or someone within the family of the military, just a hello, thank you, appreciate your service, etc., can go a long way on a one-on-one basis. What can we do on the broader scale within the K family?
Number one thing we can do is within our own clubs is find out who among us is a veteran, honor them at the club by recognition. Just a simple thing like, if you're a veteran, would you stand, and we'd like to honor you. We can go immediately to the families of those members and say, do you have anyone in your family who has served or is serving? And let's do something for them on a given day. A Kiwanis one-day recognition effort for one or two people where the club honors them for their service. What a wonderful step in the right direction of honoring our patriots that would be.
I love that idea. Ed, give us one suggestion you might have to continue along that path of what we've been talking about.
You know, we could invite more school kids to our club and have them sing along with the national anthem that we do, you know. And I guess the more we can get them involved, we can always have them different key clubbers come in and do that, you know. And I know we sing different songs every meeting, so that's a way to influence them. And you know, we'll have some of the on board with the lyrics on there, so
right. And it's funny you say that, because it's amazing how many of and I see it in my school all the time, the kindergartens through third grade-ish don't even know the words. So having the lyrics available. Val, I want to ask you this question from the K family, the kids side of it. Back in my day, when I was Key Club and Circle K, as part of our openings, we always did either the pledge or we did the Star Spangled Banner. Is stuff like that still happening on the kids level, Circle K, Key Club, et cetera, where as part of their opening, they do those songs? They add the patriotic songs in the opening stuff?
Unfortunately, not anymore. And what they're doing is they're actually doing the K Kids Pledge, or they do the Key Club Pledge or Circle K Pledge, and then they move forward. And so I think that we need to partner with them. And instead of having Ed come to just a Kiwanis event, it's being a vendor at the Key Club district convention. It's being a vendor at the Kiwanis district convention, where there's a table where they'll start coming and figuring out, you know, we can go with the club and put out flags on Flag Day. You know, in my home club, we put out flags 5 times a year. But I never thought before today that I should be inviting Key Clubbers before they go to school, before, you know, as we're having the dawn ascension to be able to put the flags in. We should have our Key Clubbers going out there with us to put them up, because it's before school. And we can have them helping us take them down properly when school's over, because it's after they're out of class. Just some simple things where we're very patriotic at the Kiwanis part of it, and it's inviting the kids back into the process. I think that that's key.
I agree. Those are all great ideas. We have the website for Ed's organization. Dan, I want to ask you, and from my standpoint, I know it's a loaded question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Where can members of not only Calneva, but of course we are heard internationally, so I'm sure there's members out there, as we've always have, from other clubs around the country. Where can folks get ideas from what you're putting out there as the chair, as a resource for ideas about increasing patriotism?
Well, as I mentioned, we are going to be presenting to the district the new protocols for the patriotism banner patch, and it's not going to be a simple rocker. It's going to be a central patch with 4 attachments at different levels of activity that each club can do. So
John,
the simple
Dan's picture up. Sorry, can you move Dan's picture up, please? Thank you.
The simple step will be, once our new program has been introduced to the district, it will be on the district website. And the program will have indicators where people can go if they don't know where to look to recognize someone in the service or a family member who is without their loved one for a year and a half because they're deployed. Any number of different service organizations, such as the VFW or American Veterans. There are so many opportunities for us. It's just simply a lack of communication. We just simply are not well educated on the resources that are in need of recognition. And I want to share this with Ed and with Val about Ed's program. I'm not only a veteran of the Marine Corps during the Vietnam conflict, but I served more than 40 years in law enforcement. And over the course of those 45 or 46 years, I probably lost close to 40 people that I personally knew. And the biggest fear that I have, the biggest heartache I have, is that their service and death was in vain because it goes unrecognized or unremembered. So the first thing anyone can do is seek out the name of someone who we can remember.
I think, again, it's just remembering, and I want to mention, we were talking about the military installations just in our district. There's a big VA hospital here in town, up in the north side of Vegas, that from a Key Club Circle K standpoint, I'm sure there's service projects that can be done out of that facility to help, to greet people, maybe even get a table there, who knows. But, looking at the VA hospitals where they support the veteran community is almost as direct as you can get in supporting patriotism one-on-one in your local community. All right, with that, I want to step aside for our final break of the show as we starting to come around the clubhouse turn, where we'll continue our discussion with our guests and find out where Val is going to be on the road in the coming week or so. I'm sure it's a long list, and Andy's probably going, no, not again. Anyway, you're watching Kiwanis Connects. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for someone to provide training to your staff? Do you need a motivational speaker about how to handle change? Do you have an upcoming event that needs an MC to handle those responsibilities? Well, look no further than longtime Las Vegas radio personality Aaron Phillips. I am local to Las Vegas, and I can blend my talents with any audience. For more information, please visit www.aaronphillipsvoice.com and book me for your next event or training needs.
I'm Matt.
I'm Chief.
And I'm Aaron, and together we are
Thoughts Count Anywhere.
Join us every Saturday from 9 to 11 a.m. Pacific Time.
Right here on WWDBTV Network and all the shows that are available for you to watch. And why is that?
Because the Chief says so.
Who were those three ugly people in that last commercial? But anyway, back to Kiwanis Connects. Oh, my God. Anyway, during the break, I want to share this thought. John, our producer, as I mentioned at the top of the show, he also is, I want to say former Marine, but I understand once a Marine, always a Marine, and saying former really doesn't apply. But yes, did you just cough over there? You okay? Anyway, so he brought up something which I think is 1,000,000% valid. False patriotism. Mm-hmm. Do not use any of the patriotic symbols or veterans or anything like that in a way that is not supportive, basically. And I think, John, that's a great comment. Let's make sure that the partnership with our military partners that are out there and families is upfront, honest, and genuine, with no other intentions other than wanting to put our hearts into supporting those individuals who lost their lives. And we say military, and I'm glad in Ed's slides we saw response, first responders, police officers, etc., because the police officers, fire, EMTs, they're almost a military all unto themselves. And in my opinion, and I don't think any one of us on most given days would want to, step in their shoes for a day. I mean, I watch all these fireman shows and on patrol live, and I see what these officers are. I'm like, no, thank you. That's not for me. Thank God they're doing it. So I'm glad that those individuals were honored as well within the USA here. Honoring USA heroes, I think, is a great umbrella to encompass all of them. Okay, Val, I'll throw it back to you before we get into travel. So, back to you.
I know that Ed also has a program that I think is really useful and would be fun. And so, Ed, in just a short bit, because this hour has gone by fast.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about the 9/11 Never Forget mobile exhibit?
Yes, thank you. That is coming to Southern California this coming November and it will be here in November 3rd to the 11th. What it is, it's a traveling exhibit of the 9/11 artifacts and stories, and is narrated by retired firefighters from New York City that was involved on 9/11. And it is a traveling museum, basically, that's going to be here in Murrieta come November 3rd to the 11th of this year. And
that's fantastic.
I have ideas of what we call VIP nights. So one night we can have the Kiwanis district people who wants to come and have a private viewing of this museum, where they're not in line with the thousands of other people waiting to see this museum. And that's going to be available. And I'd love to talk more about it. We'll have more information on our midterm this coming March.
And we can put that on our Kiwanis Connects page so people know to come back and look at our Kiwanis Connects page on Facebook and YouTube and those things. And if you have a short video, put it together, we'll post it because I think that that's amazing.
Yeah,
absolutely amazing. And
mm-hmm. Oh, one other thing I want to say is for all our motorcycle riders, car enthusiasts, if you want to come down to San Diego and do a escort of this mobile museum, I'd like to show Mr. Siller that we have not forgotten here in Southern California, and we'll have the longest escort he's ever seen that day.
Thank you. That is absolutely amazing. As I look at your faces, and I just asked John to put you bigger so that I don't have to squint and look at my Hollywood squares.
Order Val the block, please. Oh, sorry.
Yes.
I digress.
I'm so thankful for all that you do. And I know that there are a lot of clubs out there that they do a number of patriotic events, and they're authentic in what they do, helping Blue Star moms and putting together packages for the holidays and all those kind of things. And so, Dan, I wanted to thank you for making the process simpler, because I think when clubs are recognized for doing those kind of things, they kind of get that, it is meaningful. And so I want to thank both of you. And I can't wait to see Mr. Cole. Because as John Crawford said earlier, we need more four-legged Kiwanians because they just bring us joy.
I don't know if in the email, John, were you able to download any of those still pictures that were part of the email with the PowerPoint? Because one of them is Cole. I don't know if you were able to get those down off there. Okay. Didn't know if you have the time to pull those down. Herman says, Herman Platsky again, where is it? No, I got you. Oh, but there was one where he responded. There we go. Herman responded to John's comment. John Crawford, Semper Fi, U.S. Marine Corps, served 1968 through 1994, Vietnam veteran, and then our very own John here in the studio, who I affectionately call JPEG, by the way. He responds that John himself, Semper Fi, USMC, Vietnam, 1966 to 1967. So thank you to you two gentlemen who fought at a time where was very difficult to be accepted to be in that war and not fully honored with some of the other wars that are out there, like the Korean War, all that other stuff, police actions, whatever you want to call them. They put their lives on the lines. Come on, let's not split hairs over who we should honor and who we don't want to honor. Another comment on there, Leanne says, we had a wonderful Red Cross nurse volunteer and member of the Shasta Dam Kiwanis who wrote a book of her experiences working with families at 9/11. She shared her book back at International Convention in St. Louis a few years after the event. So obviously just within the conversation we're having, and then Val, I'll turn it over to you to tell us where you're going on the road, if you're going anywhere, given the weather that you're having out there. Patriotism stirs a lot of emotions for people. And the majority of them, 99, I'm sure, 0.9% of it, are positive, supportive. We love those who were forging ahead. There's a small percentage that won't support military for whatever the reason, but they have the right to feel that way. But the bottom line is this: patriotism turns on emotions, and I just wish that those emotions would stay consistent for a longer period of time than for the hour that they're watching the show or for the events throughout the calendar year, as Dan outlined earlier. We're checking into the 9/11 thing that'll be that Ed was just talking about. We really need to keep it going 365, 24/7 and support all those around us. All right, with that, Governor Val, it is that time where if John could there it is. The van is on the road. Where are we going to try to head this week?
Woo, woo. So Fortunately, I get to read scholarships tomorrow. So I get to be snug in my home because one of the main things I love to do is help students get to college and help students get to grad school. And so we're going to be doing all of our scholarship reading and judging so that we can give out as many scholarships as humanly possible. And then on Sunday, I get to go to celebrate a 100-year anniversary with the Kiwanis Club of Berkeley. And so for many of you, it's like 100 years in Berkeley. What in Berkeley has ever stayed around that long? And I'm a Cal grad, and I can tell you, every time I go back, it's like something has changed because it has to change, no matter what. So traditions are very, very, very thin. But I'm really excited to go to my alma mater and help. That's the club that helped me when I was a college student, be able to celebrate their 100 years. And then next week, it is all over the board. I'll be in Turlock. I will be in, what is it called? I'll be out on the coast. I'm losing it in Division 32 with Diane Anthony. I will have the opportunity to drive down to Bakersfield. And so just a whole lot of fun places. And I just love seeing that big K when I drive into town and know that Kiwanis is doing amazing service. And so I hope that your clubs will look at the new competition that Kiwanis International has put out, which is by flagday.com. And flagday.com is giving out awards and also rewards and grants, but they're also making flags available to you that are high quality flags that you can be using on a regular basis. You know, the one thing that always kind of bugs me, it's that little thing in the back of my head, is when we go to a Kiwanis meeting and people say, okay, we're going to do the pledge, and they don't have a flag. And so I think that that's one of the things that you as a club or a member can do today is you can go to flags.org and get a flag that you have with you at all times. I have these mini flags that I have in the back in my car. And so I always have one in one of my bags, and I don't apologize when someone says we don't have a flag, and I whip that flag out of my bag and say, yes, we do. And it's okay, even if you pull it up on your phone, but I think it's more respectful and more honoring if you have a physical flag that you can tell the story. And I think that that's really one of those fun things. And if you're an advisor, maybe it's reintroducing the Pledge of Allegiance when you're at a Key Club meeting or a Builders Club, and even K kids, because they don't know the words, but they know that they're supposed to stand up and cover their heart. So
Right.
if you teach them at 5 and 6, 7 years old that this is what we do, then they'll automatically expect it and they'll require it of their groups as they grow older, because that's when we're teaching them new habits.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Great thought there. Again, small little steps and things that one can do. Be prepared all the time, just like the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts were always prepared. And as a governor, you're always prepared for anything anyway. So not having a flag is no excuse. Before we start wrapping up, I just want to send a shout out to the Sunrise Vista Club. They are the first ones that have contacted us and are taking advantage of the Kiwanis commercial for Cal Neva that was done, which I believe we saw at the top of the show. That video is actually pinned on the Kiwanis Connects page that, with Governor Val's blessing, we are making that available, that any club that would like to take advantage of it and have it customized with your club's information at the tail end of it for you to use. It's only a $75 contribution to the show. And you can email any questions you may have about that directly to me. I kind of am handling that for our governor because it's not like she doesn't get enough emails anyway. So you can email for more information by emailing us KiwanisConnectsInfo@gmail.com. That's KiwanisConnectsInfo@gmail.com. Also, we have the availability if you want to send us a bunch of pictures and you'd like a fully customized video just of your club or maybe your division, email there as well, and I can go over the details for that. So again, thank you to Sunrise Vista. With that, Governor Val, if you want to start wrapping up with our guests, and then you and I will say goodbye.
Once again, mahalo from my heart. You two, as I said, if I could count on my fingers, your names both come up on a regular basis for those people that I care about so much and because you give so much. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And to all of those who serve and our first responders out there that actually are listening to us, thank you. I appreciate you so much. Kiwanis appreciates you so much. And I can't wait to see where we're headed with this patriotism program.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Governor Val.
Thank you. Thank you very
And again,
much.
guys, as soon as information, whatever information you'd like to share, please post it on the Kiwanis Connects Facebook page. This way, Governor Val and I can pick it up. And if it's something that we need to share during the show at any point, that'll be the easiest way to get that to us. All right, all of you out in California trying to get to Vegas, please do it safely. I just saw a text message this weekend. We have a big event at Sam's Town, a big wrestling event. Wrestlers are trying to drive in, and they're right now, one of the main stars that is going to be there for the signing message that they're trying to get across California on 15. They're getting snow, rain, sleet, hail, and they may have to actually pull off the side of the road for a while. So please, please, please drive carefully wherever you are going. For Governor Val, as always, my friend, it's a pleasure to be back at the home with you after missing last week. But of course, anytime I'm with you is always a good day. So I appreciate the opportunity to do this. As always, make sure you join us next week for Kiwanis Connects. We'll be posting up there where guests are next week. Thank you to our guests, Ed and Dan, and thank you to you out there who spent a little time with us on this Friday morning. As always, be kind to everybody. Why is that? We're all we have. We'll see you next time right here on Kiwanis Connects.